The Cook of the Dead Camp, a Gothic one short story. Sometimes justice tastes like old grease and forgotten guilt, but in the old camp, most people preferred not to taste justice at all. The kitchen wasn't on any map. It wasn't even really a kitchen, just a blackened courtyard behind the old wall, between a half-collapsed storage hut and a reeking meat shed that never ran out of bones. And in that smoke and stink stood the cook. Lurgo was his name, broad as a barrel, back like a chopping block, and a face like a blunt cleaver. Nobody knew how long he'd been there. Some said since before the barrier. Some said the barrier was his lid, and we were all just boiling inside. What matters was simple. His stew didn't kill you. And that, in the colony, was reason enough to trust that man. When Reno arrived at the kitchen door, he was fresh off the mud. Just another Buddler with calloused hands and a stupid dream of surviving longer than a pickaxe. He'd asked to help. Lurgo didn't look up. Help? You got a name? Reno. Wrong, said Lurgo. You'll be Snaf. Reno blinked. Snaf? That was the name of the last one who cooked like he meant it. Not a compliment, a warning. Then he had handed him a knife and said, "No cut." Snaf cut. Snaf stirred. Snaf learned that meat didn't ask who it used to be. Not once it boiled long enough. He learned Lurgo never prayed, but scratched runes in the dirt with his left hand after dark. He learned that the guards ate first, always, but never made eye contact. And sometimes, late at night, he caught Lurgo whispering to the pot, not madly, softly, like the pot whispered back. On his third day, the pot caught fire, not from underneath, from within. The fat inside roared to life, like it had been waiting. Snaf panicked, threw in water, and the flames doubled. He shouted, tried to beat it down with a cloth. Lurgo stepped in from the smoke, didn't even blink. He leaned over the fire, spat once, and the flames died instantly. Then he looked at Snaf and said, "Cooking's not about fire, it's about respect. You don't fight the meat, you cook with its will." Snaf had no idea what that meant, but he nodded anyway. Later, when the smoke had cleared, Snaf asked, "What were you before this?" Lurgo wiped grease from a cleaver that was more weapon than a tool. "I was a taste of punishment," he said. "You mean a torturer?" "No. That was a guy with a hammer. I was the one with the spoon." Snaf didn't ask anything else that night. It was a guard who died first. Not in battle, not in the arena. Right there at the kitchen table. Face in the stew. One grunt, one twitch, then stillness. Lurgo didn't react. He just stirred the next pot. Snaf stared at the body. Was it the food? Lurgo shrugged. Probably. You poisoned him? If I had, he'd have died standing. The next morning, two shadows came. No smiles, no threats, just that quiet kind of presence that says, "Someone's going to die today." They said nothing. Lurgo served them stew. They didn't touch it. Then one spoke. "You keep cooking, but from now on, we eat first." The other placed a black stone on the table, smooth and cold. "If you stop cooking, the camp dies. If you cook for the wrong people, you die first." Lurgo took the stone and nodded. Later, Snaf asked, "What was that?" "A recipe," said Lurgo. "For what?" "For truth." "And you're gonna cook it?" "No, I will feed it." Lurgo got quieter after that. He stopped whispering to the pot, stopped scratching runes, but he started writing. Names, measurements, no headings, no labels. Snaf saw the book. No title, just a red fingerprint on the front cover. One night, Lurgo woke him. "Grab your things," he said, no questions. They walked deep beneath the camp, through tunnels no Buddler knew, past rotting doors and rusted rails, where the walls whispered and the torches coughed. Eventually they reached a chamber, empty and cold. And in the middle, a black iron cauldron, quiet and still, surrounded by bones. Too many bones. "This is where it began," said Lurgo. "This too? The kitchen, the first one. The first cook who understood that power doesn't live in the sword. It lives in hunger. You cooked here? I fed everyone. Gomez, the guard, the Buddlers, the cowards and the killers. I kept them warm, I kept them guilty." Snaf's hand itched. "Why show me this?" "Because I'm old. Because I creak before the firewood does. And because you are the first one who didn't ask what I cook, but why I cook." The next morning, Lurgo was gone. No note, no blood, no fire. Just an empty hook where his cleaver used to hang. And in the pot, a single spoon, clean, shining, like an eye. That evening, no one said a word. The butlers waited, the shadows watched. The guards tapped their bowls, annoyed. Snaf stood over the cauldron, same fire, same stew, just one difference. He didn't serve the guard first, he didn't serve the shadows at all. He just looked up and said, "Stew's ready, same as always, just different." Later someone asked him his name. He just said, "Snaf," like it had always been. And from then on, it was. Thank you for listening. This was my first voiceover in English, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to life. If you are still here, take a moment. Let's read the morale of the story. In a world ruled by blades, the one who holds the spoon survives. Lurgo wasn't a hero, not a killer, not a martyr. He cooked for everyone, with guilt, without judgment. And when he left, he didn't pass down a title, just a pot that kept boiling. Not for power, not for glory, but for the one thing that sits between hunger and truth, responsibility. And so, the fan-made story, origin story of Snaf, who knows? But it was fun to make it bring to life. And see ya to the next story. As I said, this was first time the short story in English. Next time, if you like it, we will keep it in English. If not, maybe I will switch back to German. See ya next time.